Now, today's video is about doing fairing repairs and a job that we did not that long ago for Vlad, restoring two of his bikes, one of them a Benelli and one of them a Bimota. And working on these exotic bikes is something we do in the shop all the time. And so I know the parts are irreplaceable. I know how delicate some of them can be. They're thin. Even the Buell that Vlad just bought, the parts are thin. We just posted up the videos of how to reinforce that. It's a good thing if you have a Buell to check that out. But basically the work we do in the shop, repairing these fairings and then repainting them, refinishing them, rebuffing them. Now we start off this fairing repair for a Bimota, and looking over the parts, the first step is to evaluate and see what has to be done. Step one on any project you're going to do anything on is to clean the part thoroughly. In this case, Simple Green is one of the products I like to use. Evaluate where pieces are missing or where they're broken, where they have to be fixed, where they have to be carbon fibered, where they have to be filled in, where they have to be sanded and shaped. A power sander is a great way to take some of the labor out of the job anyway. And I have several different sizes. They all seem to work pretty well. A Dremel tool is also another handy thing to have to get in smaller areas with the different cutters. Now, the reason these parts are hard to do is because you just can't go on the internet and buy them at any price. And even if you could, they'd be a fortune. So the restoration of this is a major thing to be able to do when you're going to restore a motorcycle. And the first thing I try to evaluate always is do the mechanical part of it. Make the part strong, crack-free, and rigid before you do any of the cosmetic work. Notice I'm working on the inside of the fairing first. Inside where you don't see it. And roughen everything up, clean it, roughen it, and we're going to use carbon fiber in this case and put several layers down there with Brodak epoxy, any good quality, high-strength epoxy, and several layers. I want to have the mechanical part of it done first. Then I can work on the cosmetic part with shapers and sanders and tools that I need to do it, CA. But if the part isn't solid and rigid first, everything else is not going to matter. Now, sanding the part, this is the part you're going to see, even though it's underneath the motorcycle. We want to have this as perfect as we can. And then what I'm going to do, as soon as this is smooth and reasonably rough, then I can get some Brodak CA and I can fix the cracks. You can see there's several cracks in there. I want to smooth them out. The holes are all elongated. Now this part has been repaired several times. Keep in mind, a lot of these collector bikes have very thin plastic or fiberglass parts or carbon fiber, and they tend to crack. So if you're buying a collector bike, check it out. If you before you buy the bike and take it home, and you take the fairing off and half of it stays on the bike. Now this is CA that repairs the cracks. Then I'm going to get back in there and hand sand it out. Machine sand it first, hand sand it second, but always working with something with a rough surface. Never try to fix something that has a surface like glass, or the material tends not to stick. A Dremel tool with a burning tool to burn holes. You watch how this burns its way right through. I don't like to use a drill. It tends to catch and crack the part. But the Dremel tool lets you get in there, and at the end you just see a big puff of smoke and you're through. Good tip, by the way, don't use a drill on these parts. Use a burr and grind your way through. Especially if the holes like they are in this part have been repaired before. Now, a lot of the stuff I work on, somebody else has already worked on it. And that's the case with these parts. So I try to at least minimize the amount of work I'm going to have to do here. I have to make a part at a Bondo here because there was a part actually missing from this. So this is a little labor intensive, and I put, as you can tell, I put a lot of it in fast forward because otherwise this would be a 10-hour video. And what I want to do is I want to then hand shape that part with a sanding block. I want to clean off all the extra carbon fiber that's hanging out, get in there with my sanding block, and I want all the mechanical stuff done first before I do any cosmetic work at all. You can see it's shaped there. I'm happy with the shape. And then when I go to do the what I call the cosmetic work, the paint work, I want to have that shape roughed in. Now, as a final thing, I put a couple extra coats of epoxy. Again, it's Brodak 5-minute epoxy, just to make the part even more rigid, because the whole idea is when I'm all done with this job, I'd like it never to crack again. And these parts are unobtainable, so they're worth restoring. Now the next step on this is to put a final finish on it with 1000 grit paper and a sanding block. Get it all as even as possible. Make sure there are no cracks showing and that the CA has done its job, that it's thoroughly reinforced from the back, that all the mechanics are done, because this is just cosmetic now. And once it's sanded and we have the holes drilled, everything should be ready. It's backmasked, of course, and it should be ready for a coat of black paint. They go right over that. I don't even have to prime this because it's black underneath it. It'll be fine. It's on the bottom of the motorcycle where you may not really see it, but even though it's on the bottom, I would like it to be as nice and smooth and shiny as possible. I don't want it to look like 80 grit sandpaper. And at the end of this, everything is going to get buffed out anyway. And this is one part. Now we have one part that I can honestly look at and say, oh, we're making progress on this job. And as the days go by, it just takes time. It is a total labor of love to do this kind of work. Now, one of the things we want to do is minimize the edge where the paint ends. So I'm taking the back masking off the edge and moving the tape back about a 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch, not real critical. You can see here, so there's a part that instead of having a giant edge, we're going to have 2 little steps. And it'll be a lot easier to buff that in so you won't see it in the very final, in the end of the product. Now, we're using extreme clear. Here's the numbers for the hardener. But it's not critical. I found most of the modern 4-to-1 paints just work just better than you can expect. Very easy to use. Wear a mask. In this case, I'm using an airbrush. The airbrush is just the best way I know of to do this. This is an Iwata airbrush. And you notice I'm not wearing a mask because on the original video, I was talking. So, and with an airbrush, I guess you minimize that. But if you're using a big gun, always wear a mask with 4-to-1. Here, we're blending. Now, we're trying to get a blend from the end of the paint into the new paint. And the next step on this is, these are where the mounting points are. They usually cracked. We're going to try to fill them in, fix the cracks, reinforce it a little bit. Brodak CA again is the best way to do that. And then when it's all done and it's hardened up, block sand it down so it's nice and smooth. And then we'll back mask the area. And this is a lot of labor. If this video was not in fast forward, we're into this about the 3rd or 4th day. These, you can see the cracks around it, and that has to be taken care of the same way. Block sand it out, put plenty of CA in there, get it nice and smooth. When you're all done, just back mask it off after it's block sanded. And you can see these are the 2 areas. And of course, both parts are the same. I'm not just to keep the video from getting too long, I didn't want to do, but both parts are exactly the same of what I'm doing. And the airbrush again works just fine. And we want to just get the minimum amount of paint at the edge. At the edge. I don't want to have a step. When I pull up the back masking tape, I don't want to have a step you can feel with your finger. And that's one of the tests of any good, really good high quality touch-up, is you can't feel where the touch-up ends. And then this will definitely have to dry overnight before we go to the next step. Now these parts need 1000 grit sanding, and then we're going to use self-etching primer. Self-etching primer. But the prep on this is 1000 grit paper, and get it as dull as possible. All the body work is done. Any little cracks are taken care of. The back pieces are all reinforced. Everywhere there's a bolt, there's a reinforcement on this. And this is where this starts to become a labor of love, because from this point on, we want to have a glass-like finish that's absolutely perfect, and that the most important thing, that it's not going to crack again. So once the primer dries overnight, the next step is to take some 600 grit paper, sand the edges and corners by hand, sand with a sanding block all the flat areas, and try to get as much of this smooth and polished and cleaned as possible. And in this case, this again, Without being in fast forward, this would be a very, very long video. I tried to condense this down from many, many hours of video. But the sanding block, and at the very end, to get it wiped off with brand new clean paper towels. And the final step before any painting is get the whole part, preps all down. Prep all, in this case, is the product I'm using, but any good body shop degreasing material. Now, by doing all the touch-ups and the red just resprayed, this job now, a couple of coats of clear later, I'm going to let this dry in the garage, and this will be ready for buffing, detail sanding, buffing, and that paint dried just about as good as you could expect. But it's just nice to know that you can restore one of these to better than new condition, and that those reinforcements, I think, are a cheap guarantee that this will not crack again. And you would think on a bike this expensive and this custom, the factory would do this. The factory would reinforce the parts. Well, the reality is they don't, and so they leave that up to you. Now, one of the other parts we worked on at the same time we did the fairings, we did the same kind of a touch-up where we try to minimize the line. This line down the middle of the seat cowl had to be painted, but I didn't want to have an edge, so I used the same technique that I used on the fairing. Moved the tape back over and over, and it worked pretty well. I buffed out the part with 4CR, and that line, if you keep moving the tape back every time you put on a little bit of clear, that line will be almost invisible, and that is a really good trick, by the way. Now, the trick is once you get the final amount of tape off, and now the whole seat is exposed, now you can see that line. But now to go back over it very carefully, and just get it to blend right in. And that's the secret of trying to get a touch-up. See, we didn't want to repaint the original parts of this. So this is really like a touch-up. Now that it's done, I can rebuff the whole part. And these parts did have enough clear on them. Some bikes don't. Not all bikes do have enough clear. So, but if we didn't have enough clear, what I would do is 2000 grit sand this now and put more clear on. I didn't want to lose those stencils, and it looked like it worked pretty good. And a seat, that was part of the restoration of that bike, and we are pretty much done with that part of it. And I look in the background here and I see this was a day I had a lot of tires to mount, some carbon fiber we put clear on, and Mark's 600 FZ. But we also had one other bike in the shop right at the same time, and that was the Benelli, Vlad's Benelli. And this Benelli, this was a, boy oh boy, if you only knew the labor of love this was. This is there's three colors to get this color green. There's a base coat, and then a green and a tinted clear that make this a beautiful paint. I thought I'd add this right to the end of the video. But all of these videos on the Benelli, you can basically just dial up my name in quotation marks and the word Benelli Restoration, and you can see how much work. Now, in the course of doing this, we wound up having the paint not be compatible, among other things, and a lot of good information on those videos, by the way. A lot of things that may be interesting. And every time I do a project like this, I think this is one bike more that we've brought back from the edge of destruction. And I don't really remember if this was one Vlad had an accident with or he bought it that way. But this bike needed a lot of tender love and care. And it was the paint that made this really not a problem, but very labor intensive, because the gold undercoat and this color green are almost clear when you look in the gun. It almost looks clear. You got to put on so much paint to build up that color green. This was really a lot of work. I guess that's the thing with almost everything we do in our shop. It is a labor of love, no matter whose bike we're working on. And that color green, when it's done, I don't know, it really doesn't show in the video here, but that is a spectacular color. And that's on all the Benelli racing bikes, by the way. That's the real high-end thing right there. So not many Benelli racing bikes in this country either. So I finished off this whole day with putting extra clear on this, because I really wanted to be able to buff this till the cows came home. This was a real show bike when it was done, and I know Vlad, for instance, his level of appreciation of quality work, like mine, he's willing to pay the price and he's willing to take his time. And his collection of bikes that I've worked on almost every one of them, the Bimotas, the Benellis, the Aprilas, I didn't think of any of them. His Buell, I worked on his Buell recently. Every one of them. And by the way, the Buell fairing repair is right out on the video right now for anybody that has a Buell. That might be worth checking out and seeing how weak that the fairing mount points are on that, and to fix them, fix those points before they break. A good idea. So if you're new to our channel, we try to share interesting things relating to motorcycles, rides, repairs, maintenance, doing up custom bikes, unique machines, and working on them in a way that makes sense that an average mechanic can do. And we don't get into the very high-tech stuff that you need to be a professional mechanic to do, like replacing a crankshaft. This is stuff that basically should appeal to backyard mechanics, especially the paintwork. And the paintwork on my videos is pretty basic 101. You should be able to have really good results. The evil twins that I make out of, I think most of my bikes are evil twins. That means we have 2 sets of bodywork and can make 2 different bikes in about an hour. And going on the rides we all enjoy going on, whether they're individual rides or group rides or hanging out at the meetups with all our friends, no matter what we do. The whole idea of the channel is to share good information, keep it non-political, and have a lot of fun all at the same time while enjoying the love of motorcycling, whether you like old bikes, new bikes, really expensive collector bikes, or bikes that the selling feature of the bike is that it has a lot of patina. Either way, we can be friends and you can enjoy our channel. And thank you guys, one and all. Thank you so much for watching.